Shonen is misunderstood. No, I don't mean by definition, because in theory it's really quite simple. Shonen translates to few years, which is commonly used for anime and manga to simply mean young man or boy. Typically this term refers to young males between 12 and 18 years of age. But you might be thinking, well, that seems pretty straightforward to me. Shonen has all that fighting and action, so of course that appeals to the young male audience. And you wouldn't be entirely wrong for thinking this. As a male and one-time young person myself, I can say that is certainly correct. A little violence never hurt anybody. Well, wait. Yeah. But I believe that Shonen has actually been evolving and continues to do so, and that people shouldn't write these shows off as being just for kids simply because of their classification. I might even surprise you with what a shonen can really be, both literally and figuratively. So allow me to talk to you about why I believe over time, shonen anime is now actually made for everyone. Before we get started, I appreciate you checking out the video, but you know what I'd appreciate even more? If you gave me a like and considered subscribing for more anime related content. Anyway, back to the video. For the sake of not making this a comprehensive history lesson, I won't go back to the beginning of the shonen classification, but instead I'll start with what many consider to be the father of modern shonen. Dragon Ball, and by extension Dragon Ball Z, pioneered a big push in the direction of shonen. It had the now classic trope of strong dudes doing strong things. It had cool abilities and extremely enjoyable to mimic technique catchphrases. It had memorable and intimidating villains that have stood the test of time, even if some of them may have now outstayed their welcome. Looking at you, kid. And it had fight scenes that also remained satisfying even 20 years later. It even had my boy Hercule. While it wasn't groundbreaking narratively, Dragon Ball did at least begin to explore some more complex topics like the downfalls of pride and the growth that's needed to overcome it. In addition, the ideas of the tournament arc and even the time skip weren't founded, but at least partially popularized by the series as well. Now again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z are the pinnacle of storytelling, or even that all ages and demographics will or should enjoy them. But it served as a critical foundation that many shows took and elevated to higher levels of storytelling. A couple of the earlier, more prominent examples of traditional shonen that took this foundation and built upon it are shows like Naruto and One Piece. Again, you might be questioning me by saying, well, aren't these shows just as simple as Dragon Ball? I mean, one of them is about an orange kid that just says believe it or databayo a lot. And the other just has some rubber dude that punches people a lot till they stop punching back. That seems like typical shonen to me. Well, yes and no. Naruto dives deeper into the human psyche and what it means to be lonely with the character of Naruto himself. We see how the effects of being ostracized and bullied very nearly drive Naruto down a dark path. His mentality is shown changing and growing over time, even if sometimes only on a surface level. Giving into the darkness, we have a character like Sasuke, whose personal arc explores themes of revenge and hatred after considerable suffering. But where Sasuke gave in to the darkness, we then turn the other way yet again with a character like Kakashi, who like Naruto persevered through trauma and hardship. And don't even get me started on Itachi. These are themes that most typical shonen-aged young people can understand, but probably haven't actually experienced as intensely as a typical adult may have. Many people can only really begin to truly relate to some of these characters once they've lived long enough to experience the trials of life on their own. One Piece explores mature themes on a grander scale. One Piece is all about chasing your dreams. How far will you go to achieve your dreams? Is your ambition as valuable to you as your own life? Do you want to be the best at something like Zoro, and you'll challenge yourself every day to make sure you reach your goal? Maybe you want to make or do something that benefits everyone around you like Chopper, putting others at the forefront in place of yourself. Or perhaps your dream is a little more vague and you'll define it more as you go like Usopp, letting your journey serve as your natural path to your own finish line. Regardless, One Piece tells you to follow your dreams as far as you believe you should, even if the path to achieving them isn't immediately clear. Maybe I still haven't convinced you yet. You may even be typing out a comment right now that would seek to disagree with me on a fundamental or even a semantic level. And although commenting would be good for the algorithm, just wait a bit longer, I promise I'm getting there. Remember how I called Naruto and One Piece traditional shonen? Well, let's get into the shows that should help paint the picture of shonen in a different light. Death Note. And before you say it, yes, Death Note is a shonen, though it can easily flex into other classifications quite easily if you think about it. I might even venture to say this potential confusion helps to fortify the notion of shonen diversity. Death Note doesn't really feature your typical shonen experience in the way of physical superiority, but instead intellectual superiority. The most unique aspect being that we almost inarguably view the show through the lens of the villain, an antagonistic protagonist, if you will. Wait, hold on, that was fun to say. So basically, L is like a protagonistic antagonist to our antagonistic protagonist in Light. Are these words losing meaning yet? Anyway, Death Note explores morality in a way that isn't necessarily black and white. It takes a more gray and gray approach, suggesting there's no absolute good or absolute evil. If Death Note represents a disarming of traditional shonen ideals by shifting from brawn to brain, our next entry might represent a break in its armor that exposes its very core. Continuing with the non-traditional shonen ideal, my next example of its evolution is Your Lie in April. I'm hoping at this point enough of you have been assuaged as to not get up in arms about this one, but like Death Note, Your Lie in April does in fact fall under shonen as well. No fight scenes, no complex competition of the minds, just raw and emotional storytelling. It doesn't pull any punches, and it doesn't sugarcoat reality. Our main character in Kosei symbolizes the descent of a prodigy through abuse and loss, the dampening of a world-class talent, showing somebody break down right in front of your very eyes. His saving grace coming in the form of a young girl named Kaori. Kaori isn't dealt the best of hands either, though, as from a young age she has already accepted her likely short life due to a terminal illness, representing hope in the face of a slow and unyielding march to an almost certain end. She doesn't give up hope and even manages to break through to Kosei as well, exploring the depths of trauma and the powerful connection that shared experience can grant to two people. Your Lie in April makes you remember the impact you have on others. Even the smallest things you do for someone can change the whole course of their life. Kaori and Kosei teach us that it's never too late to make a difference. But hey, wait a minute, said the straw man. Sure, you've been moving up in the timeline, but the newest show you've talked about so far is from 2011. What about modern shonen? Hasn't it been dumbed right back down since then? No. Shonen wasn't dumbed down. That's just Goku. Like, come on. How does he not know what a kiss is? The man has 2 kids! But if I'm to be honest here, I believe shonen has gone on to spread its wings quite beautifully since then. Shonen can be so many things to so many people. It can think outside the box much more than you might have thought. And while I believe this complexity is essential for shonen to keep growing, I would never say that some good old-fashioned action isn't pretty awesome as well. Shows like Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia aren't going to blow the doors off as far as narrative depth is concerned, but my goodness are they sure fun to watch. And for every Demon Slayer, there's an Attack on Titan. And for every My Hero Academia, there's a Jujutsu Kaisen. They say that variety is the spice of life, and if that's to be believed, I think our little shonen friend here is quite full of life indeed. Shonen is violent, but shonen is also peaceful. Shonen is simple, but shonen is also complex. Shonen is serious, but shonen is also lighthearted. Shonen is heartbreaking, but shonen is also heartwarming. Shonen is for me just as shonen is for you. Ultimately, shonen is for everyone. If it wasn't clear from the beginning of the video up to this point, I have a bit of a soft spot for shonen anime, and I know many of you out there do as well. Let me know what your favorite shonen anime or even manga is down below, and tell me why. I could talk about this topic for hours, so let's get to talking. If you enjoyed the video, give me a like and maybe drop a sub if you want to see more. But also feel free to let me know what you want me to tackle next. And check out my video on falling in love with anime. It'll make me real happy. And with that said, I look forward to seeing you there, fellow anime lovers. Bye bye for now.